So, before we begin today's episode, I'd like to apologize because I was absent for another 4 days, and that's because there must be something about this season. I know you guys will remember, those of you who are regular listeners of the show, that I had a period where my family and I, okay, well, the kids and I were overtaken by some strange flu. Not the Rona, but that kind of flu that pretty much puts you out of commission. Anyway, yeah, you could say it's back, at least for me alone, anyway. And so I am just getting out of the second spell. And so I'd like to apologize for all the strange sounds that you're going to hear on today's recording. And that's because I'm still sniffling a bit of a sore throat. Excuse me. And I'm trying to make this recording with a lozenge in my mouth because that's the only way I get by these days, apart from being really pumped up on antibiotics and other kinds of medication. Anyway, but apart from that, everything seems to be going on okay. Yeah, we're getting ready for the Christmas celebrations over here and trying to think about stuff that we can do as a family to keep the mood nice and fun. Anyway, yeah, so that time of year is here again. And I don't just mean the Christmas time of the year, the Christmas and the end of year, but also it's that time of the year when, for those of us who have foreign alma maters and we try to remain engaged, this is the time of year where the guidance counseling departments, where they reach out to you because they have set up the mentoring sessions for the year, and so they've set up mentees for those of us who are part of the programs and who choose to remain in touch with our schools. Oh dear, sorry, forgive me. Yeah, forgive me with all the noise and everything. Like I said, I'm trying to get through this recording with a bad cold. Okay, where was I? Well, yes, anyway, so that time of year is upon us again. Now, in case you haven't quite figured out what time it is that I'm talking about, for those of us who happen to go to school in the United Kingdom, a lot of them have these mentorship programs where if you choose to remain in touch as a member of the alumni, yeah, they get to assign you a student every year, and then you help talk them through particular challenges and goals that they want to achieve. And so that usually happens just before the beginning of a new term, I think, or at the beginning of a new term. So pretty much the ember months into December, just before the new year begins, that's when we all get hooked up with our mentees. Now, if you happen to school in the UK but you haven't been in touch with the school after that and you're not taking part in these programs, sorry, excuse me one moment. Wow, perhaps I should have given it second thought as to whether I should record a podcast episode in this condition. Anyway, I've already begun, so I might as well plow through. So, if you haven't given it much thought in the past, please do, because mentorship opportunities are a really interesting way for you to expand your network. What else? They also open you up to really interesting challenges that you wouldn't normally encounter in your day-to-day. For instance, my academic background was in the law, and my working experience so far has been as a lawyer, as a member of the civil service, and also as a sales consultant, which is the latest outfit that I'm currently in the middle of setting up, because I've been doing counseling and offering advisory services and trainings solo, but I've finally been convinced by a couple of other speakers that I've been hanging around that it's time to put all the formalities and the paperwork behind it. So that is that's currently underway. So anyway, with all these experiences that I have, you would not expect that I'll be hanging out with people who are psychology majors or art history majors and trying to help them out with making career decisions and life choices, because nothing that I've said so far predisposes me to art history, and psychology. And it would happen that became since I signed up to be a part of the program, the mentees that I've had have studied those disciplines. So, my recommendation, if you're a listener to the podcast, don't worry, don't say you haven't achieved anything or you haven't made the mega bucks, and so because of that, you're not qualified to be a mentor. Just remember that expertise and experience is relative, and so, yes, if Dangote asked me, would you be my mentor? Of course, I would laugh because there's nothing I can teach Dangote, at least in a business sense. Anyway, but there are some people who can rightfully look up to me and expect that I will have some nuggets of wisdom or some practical advice about how to go about looking for a career, looking for a spouse, or trying to chart their life generally. So please, let's get involved. It's that time of the year. If you haven't been a part of the program, then reach out to your university's students and counseling department, students affairs, I'm not sure what it is, and just let them know that you're available, and they'll sign you up, and then you can get to make a difference in somebody else's life, which is the stage that you were probably at, some 5-10 years ago when you were back in uni. So you get to make a difference in somebody else's life, as well as broaden your skill set. So that's it pretty much. Okay, and then for those of us who are interested in these sorts of things, but from the Nigerian angle, unfortunately, I don't know of any similar programs that are run by our local universities. My alma mater on the home front was Obafemi Awolowo University, and as far as I can tell, the different alumni associations that are student-led, nothing coordinated by the university, and that's how we remain in touch, basically. And you'll find that people are a bit wary when it comes to interacting with the student communities back home. And that's because when you do, typically what they want is not necessarily your knowledge or your expertise. They just want your money. And if you spend some time abroad, they just assume that you are earning in pounds. And if you are, like in our own case, let's say you are 10 years post-call, 15 years post-call, they assume that you are making big bucks as a lawyer. And so they want your money. They don't necessarily want your time or your expertise. And that was those are some of the challenges that I faced when I tried speaking to some of my classmates about, the idea basically was, hey, you know what, we've been 20 years post-school. It's time for us to reach back, help the younger ones. We have all ended up being a pretty diversified bunch because, you have me in the wedding space and the public speaking space. There are a couple of people who are involved in corporate. The guy who graduated first class in my set in OAU is currently in investment banking. What else? We have someone who is involved in the international protection of children's rights. My set, we're involved in lots of things. We even have someone who's a Bitcoin specialist. So I figured it would be a good idea to organize some sort of speaking circuits where we all get to go back to OAU, talk to people there, get them to see the different opportunities that are out there, the possibilities that are bound, because the fact that you study law doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go about with a wig and gown. Excuse me, doesn't mean that you have to be a lawyer or a senior advocate. So that was the idea, and the response was always the same, that yes, it's a good idea. I tried that before, but people just wanted money, and how much money do I have to begin with? It's already going to be an investment of time and some expense, because of course we all live in different cities now, Abuja, Lagos, Enugu, Port Harcourt, Nasarawa, wherever. So trying to take yourself back to OAU, there's flights, lodging, accommodation, food, what have you. So, yeah. Anyway, bottom line, the reason why I'm making this recording is it's that time of the year, not just Christmas, but the time of the year where universities are reaching out to us to tell us to mentor the younger ones who are coming up. It's not a paid opportunity, and it's not anything that is going to drastically increase our influence, at least not overnight. But it's a good idea to reach out to those people who are at the stage of life where we were at a couple of years ago, and maybe for some of you who are older, because I've seen that we have a few 50-year-olds who listen to this podcast. Thank you very much for listening. If you're one of those 50-year-olds, I'm really flattered that you guys would sign up to listen to a youngin, like me. So, where was I? Okay, yeah, so it's that time of the year where schools are reaching out because they need our help, and it's a very easy way that we can help out by just agreeing to be a mentor, signing up for the program, and basically all it takes from us is just time, a couple of phone calls or Zoom calls, or if you happen to be close to the city, like I think one of my classmates settled down in Aberdeen. She's still there with her husband. So for folks like her, I guess you can walk across to the campus and have a chat with the student. But bottom line, that time is here. Schools are asking for our help, and we should always be interested in how the younger ones are coming up. We should pay it forward for those of us who had the opportunity to be mentored by other people. And if we didn't, it's a good tradition to begin. And so those are some of the things that we ought to be considering at this time of the year where the rest of the world is talking about love and giving and sharing. Let us find ways of sharing ourselves and making a gift of ourselves. So thank you very much for listening to the Sales for the Nigerian Wedding Industry podcast. I'm really sorry about recording in this condition, but I've already missed 4 days, and I don't want to get into a habit of disappearing for several days on end, because I don't want to take you guys time and attention for granted. So hopefully this bout should be over soon, but I'm going to keep on recording in this state anyway. So apologies for those of you who are first-time listeners. Please hang on. I can assure you that when this is over, I don't sound as nasal, and you don't hear that many, coughing, swallowing, and all those guttural noises. So, just make do with the shorty performance for today. Yeah, so thanks, guys, for listening. I'll catch you guys at the next recording. I'm your host, Tavishima Georgia Ede, Abuja-based sales consultant and event media professional. So catch you guys at the next recording.